Dr. Parikh, am I saying that right?
You are.
Thank you. Do you know anybody who's against biomedical research?
I do not know anybody that's against biomedical research, but I know some.
That's like being against children, isn't it?
It is.
It's like being against world peace, isn't it?
It is.
It's like being against golden retrievers, isn't it?
There's some people that argue there.
Okay. Well, let's get that out of the way. I want to ask you about NIH. I love NIH. I think they do extraordinary work.
Yes, sir.
But isn't it a fact if NIH assigns way too much money for overhead, that money comes out of the basic research? Isn't that the case?
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the channel. If you love your country, believe in accountability, and you're tired of watching your hard-earned tax dollars go up in academic smoke, then hit that like button, smash subscribe, and let's talk truth. Folks, I just watched one of the most eye-opening Senate exchanges I've seen in a while. Senator John Kennedy, one of the few straight shooters we got left in Washington, grilled Dr. Parikh over the insane amounts of taxpayer money being funneled to universities through the National Institutes of Health, and more importantly, how that money is being wasted under the guise of overhead. Now, let's get one thing clear right out the gate. Nobody here is against biomedical research. Nobody. Not me. Not Senator Kennedy. Not the millions of hard-working Americans who pay the taxes that fund this research. We want cures. We want innovation. We want kids to beat cancer. But we also want the money we send to Washington to be used for actual research, not luxury perks for ivory tower elites.
Senator, both those things are providing funds for research. And I agree with you that we need to make the administrative burden and the costs associated with it as low as possible, because we do want as much to go to
Well,
research.
why can't NIH live with 15% overhead?
Yeah. Senator, we have had a partnership that's been going on for 75 years in this country.
Yes,
that's
sir,
worked
but why
remarkably well.
can't NIH live with 15% overhead?
At this point, what that would do is actually turn institutions like the ones we've heard about here, it would actually make it to where they are laying off researchers and the support folks who are
Well, the
supporting
Gates
that work.
Foundation, when they make grants, they limit overhead to 10%, don't they?
They do, sir, but that is apples to oranges because they count different things
And
in
the
the
Roberts
overhead.
Woods Johnson Foundation limits overhead to 12%, don't they?
They do. Again, apples to oranges because they count different things.
Isn't it a fact that the universities that receive the most money from NIH also have the biggest endowments?
I haven't checked that, but it probably is true, Senator. And I agree with you. There are challenges that we need to work on.
Well, let's take Harvard. 69 cents out of every dollar from NIH given to Harvard goes to overhead.
No, sir, it's 69 cents out of every $1.69. It's on top of, it's not within.
Okay.
Which is 1.6.
Let me ask you about one of the worst abuses I've ever seen. It was at Stanford.
Yes, sir.
Stanford was spending 74% of grants from NIH on overhead. Remember that?
I do, although I was in high school at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't. and they audited Stanford.
Yes, sir.
You remember what they found?
They bought a sailboat.
They found that Stanford was spending some of that money to pay the salaries of the employees at a Stanford-owned shopping center, didn't they?
I don't remember that part. No,
I do.
But yeah, okay.
They found that Stanford was spending some of that money that was supposed to go to research, ladies and gentlemen, to renovate the president's home,
Yes, sir.
didn't they?
I believe so, Senator. Again.
And to
when I was in
renovate
high
the vice provost's home, too, didn't they?
I believe you when you say that. Yes.
And they also charged, Stanford took NIH research money to help children and applied it to depreciation on a Stanford yacht, didn't they?
Yes, sir. Again, when I was in high school, sir.
Now, does NIH audit every year the way these grants are being spent?
They don't audit every year. There's a process for
So they
determining.
just trust the universities?
No, there's a negotiation that takes place between
Yes,
the
sir,
NIH
but if it's a
and the
5-year grant
university. Yes, sir.
and they agree on indirect costs, they don't audit it every year. What if the universities lie to them?
That is absolutely a possibility.
What does fungible mean?
Fungible means that you can move money from one place to another.
And money's fungible, isn't it?
Money is fungible.
I'm ready to have a productive discussion. I've got to go to another committee. Maybe you'll have it today. I haven't heard it.
Yes, sir.
What I've heard is the implication is that anybody who is against asking hard questions about the overhead and spending is against biomedical research.
I wouldn't say that, sir. I think you are a champion.
And I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But every penny that we spend on overhead that's not being audited, and you know as much as I do, Doc, that some of it is being abused, is money that is taken away from research. And that's just a fact.
Senator,
And if you care about this child here, and I know you do, we all do, then any money spent illegitimately on overhead to pay the salary of a professor in the humanities department at a university is coming out of her research. And it's not wrong to ask questions.
it is not wrong to ask
No,
questions.
it's not.
Not at all. And Senator, I think it's actually important to ask those questions and optimize the system.
And I don't understand why these universities cannot live on 15% overhead when Gates Foundation limits them to 10% and the Johnson Foundation limits them to 12%. I don't understand it. All of a sudden, if they don't get 35% overhead, civilization is going to melt.
It is important.
My
to have
mama
that
didn't
conversation.
raise a fool, and if she did, it was one of my brothers. I'm not buying that.
Senator,
Thank you.
I think it's worth the
The
conversation.
time has expired.
I went way over. I'm sorry, Madam Chair. I appreciate your indulgence.
Why can't NIH live with 15% overhead? Great question, Senator Kennedy. I've got the same one. You know why they can't live on 15%? Because the university industrial complex is addicted to taxpayer cash. It's that simple. We've got private foundations like the Gates Foundation that limit overhead to just 10%. Robert Wood Johnson, 12%. And yet our own government, with our tax money, is writing blank checks for 35%, 40%, sometimes over 60% overhead to universities that are sitting on multi-billion-dollar endowments. Harvard, for example. Senator Kennedy pointed out that 69 cents of every dollar from the NIH to Harvard goes to overhead. Not research, not students, not cancer curers. Overhead, that's bureaucracy. Admin, God knows what else. And Harvard has an endowment over $50 billion. That's where they be. Why are we, the taxpayers, funding their operations like they're some broke community college? Let's not even get started on Stanford. This one really made my blood boil. Senator Kennedy brought up one of the biggest abuses in NIH grant history Stanford spending NIH research money on. A yacht, renovating the president's mansion, paying salaries for shopping mall employees, refurbishing the vice provost's home. Are you kidding me? These people had the audacity to charge depreciation on a Stanford-owned sailboat to children's health research grants. Children's health research. And now we're supposed to just trust them? Does NIH audit every year? No. So they just trust the universities? Yes, folks. NIH negotiates overhead once for a multi-year grant, and then they just trust the university to do the right thing. Let me tell you something. Trust without verification is not oversight. It's negligence. Look, I'm not saying every university is corrupt, but money is fungible like Senator Kennedy said. That means if you don't watch every penny, it will get moved around. And if there's no yearly audit, no teeth in enforcement, and no real consequences for misuse, then these institutions are going to keep doing what they've been doing. milking the taxpayer while pretending it's all in the name of science. And when you question this racket, oh, suddenly you're anti-science. You hate children. You don't want to cure cancer. That's the gaslighting we get from the left and the academic elite. No, what I want is accountability. What I want is for every dollar we send to D.C. to go where it was meant to go. Not yachts, not granite countertops in some provost kitchen. Research, period. So here's the solution. 1. Cap overhead at 15%. If Gates can do 10%, our government sure as hell can. 2. Audit NIH-funded institutions every single year. Not every 5 years. Not trust-based negotiations. Audits. 3. Tie NIH funding to financial transparency. If a university wants public dollars, they should open up the books. 4. Penalize abuse. If a university misuses federal research money, they don't just get a slap on the wrist, they lose funding. It's time we stopped writing blank checks to bloated institutions with billion-dollar endowments and woke DI departments that don't do a damn thing for sick kids or scientific progress. You want government money? Earn it. Use it wisely. Prove it. So thank you, Senator Kennedy, for being a voice of reason in a sea of spineless politicians. And for everyone watching, don't let them shame you for asking questions. Asking hard questions about government spending is patriotic. It's responsible, and it's how we save this country from financial ruin. If you're with me on this, hit that thumbs up, share this video, and comment below. Should we cap NIH overhead spending? Stay loud, stay proud, and always God bless America. See y'all in the next one.